Hello, I'm reading from a classic. I know I visited this, but I revisited it. I've done a course on it, but you got to revisit it because this is the kind of society we could end up with. This is the kind of society that I've lived under my whole life. So, and things are getting freaky. The bottom has dropped out, and there are a lot of people trying to put this society back together again in their own image. And we have to be careful, make sure it's made in our image, not the oligarch's image, not technocrats' image, not the professional managerial class's image, but the image of the masses. It was a bright cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Winston Smith, his chin nuzzled into his breast in an effort to escape the vile wind, slipped quickly through the glass doors of Victory Mansions, though not quickly enough to prevent a swirl of gritty dust from entering along with him. So smooth and easy to read. The hallway smelt of boiled cabbage and old rag mats. At the end of it, a colored poster, too large for indoor display, had been tacked to the wall. It depicted simply an enormous face, more than a meter wide, the face of a man of about 45, with a heavy black mustache and rugged, handsome features. Winston made for the stairs. It was no use trying to lift. Even at the best of times, it was seldom working, and at present the electrical current was cut off during daylight hours. It was part of the economy drive in preparation for Hate Week. The flat was 7 flights up, and Winston, who was 39 and had a varicose ulcer above his right ankle, went slowly, resting several times on the way. On each landing, opposite the lift shaft, the poster with the enormous face gazed from the wall. It was one of those pictures which are so contrived that the eye followed you about when you moved. Big Brother is watching you, the caption beneath it ran. Inside the flat, a fruity voice was reading out a list of figures, which had something to do with the production of pig iron. The voice came from an oblong metal plaque, like a dull mirror, which formed part of the surface of the right-hand wall. Winston turned a switch and the voice sank somewhat, though the words were still distinguishable. The instrument, the telescreen it was called, could be dimmed, but there was no way of shutting it off completely. He moved over to the window, a smallish, frail figure, the meagerness of the body merely emphasized by the blue overalls which were the uniform of the party. His hair was very fair, his face naturally sanguine, his skin roughened by coarse soap and blunt razor blades, and the cold of the winter that had just ended. Outside, even through the shut window panes, the world looked cold. Down in the street, little eddies of wind were whirling dust and torn paper into spirals. And though the sun was shining and the sky a harsh blue, there seemed to be no color in anything except the posters that were plastered everywhere. The black mustached man face, gazed from every commanding corner. There was one on the house front immediately opposite. Big Brother is watching you, the caption said, while the dark eyes looked deep into Winston's own. Down at street level, another poster torn at one corner flapped fitfully in the wind, alternately covering and uncovering the single word Ingsoc. In the far distance, a helicopter skimmed down between the roofs, hovered for an instant like a bluebottle, and darted away again with a curving flight. It was the police patrol snooping into people's windows. The patrols did not matter, however. Only the thought police mattered. Behind Winston's back, the voice from the telescreen was still babbling away about pig iron and the overfulfillment of the ninth 3-year plan. The telescreen received the transmitted simultaneously. Any sound that Winston made above the level of a very low whisper would be picked up by it. Moreover, so long as he remained within the field of vision which the metal plaque commanded, he could be seen as well as heard. There was, of course, no way of knowing whether you were being watched at any given moment. How often or on what system the thought police plugged in on any individual wire was guesswork. It was even conceivable that they watched everybody all the time, but at any rate, they could plug in your wire whenever they wanted to. You had to did live, from habit that became instinct, in the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, except in darkness, every movement scrutinized. So we have all those devices, televisions that listen to you, phones that listen to you. We can turn these things off, but I'm not so sure about these smart televisions that when you turn them off, they're off. I'm not so sure about that. Some of our other appliances are monitoring you, refrigerators, stoves. Strange, very strange, but we're living in this world, and we're also living in a world where a lot of people live like Winston, just the condition. And I know a lot of my friends have died already, or a lot of them died in the 1980s, but even those of us who were fortunate enough to live past 25, a lot of us didn't make it to 50. So I say again, black people have been living like this, what this book describes, for a long time. That's when I first read it in college when I was 19. It sent chills through me, and been loving it ever since. And there's some film adaptations of it you can watch. Until next time, I thank you for your support. I ask that you protect your mind, protect your body, and be safe.